Ahlan Bekom. Thank you very much for staying with us. I know I'm the person between you and the coffee, so I'll try to make it slightly entertaining. I'm just posing for the picture. I need to post it on LinkedIn. Right. Let's take the next 30 minutes or so to look at what manufacturing of tomorrow may look like. My name is Max, and I've spent the majority of my time talking to people like yourselves who are running the factories which produce the world we live in today. Right? Without manufacturing, there will be no today at all. And let's have a look at what's going to be there tomorrow. And in my conversations with your peers, I quite often discover significant shifts happening in manufacturing. You know, we had this industrial revolution, 200 years ago, and every time something changes. And the changes we are looking at actually affect the entire lifespan of our manufacturing process. Right? Whatever we're looking at, whether it be design, procurement, production, delivery, after-sales services, refurbishment, recycling, and remanufacturing, anywhere we look, it appears that AI is going to interfere with our strategic objectives. Now, what have we observed so far? On the smart factory evolution, IoT devices, and we've just seen it and heard this in the previous talks, right? IoT devices are prolific. They're there. Anybody uses IoT devices in their manufacturing process? Anybody capturing the data? Now we've got these machine learning capabilities, right? We've got this massive data lakes. But what do we do with this data now, right? And I think AI will enable us to actually do something clever with all the data we've been collecting so far. Next, we quite recently experienced significant shifts in the supply chain. Everybody, hopefully, unfortunately, remembers the Ever Given incident. You remember it? In 2021? A ship stuck for 6 days in the Suez Canal. The damage to the world trade was roughly, I wrote it down, I need to read it, $57 billion for 6 days interruption of a supply chain. That's the GDP of a country like Jordan or Bahrain, right? One ship, one supply chain. And we also see political shifts now, right? US starting to play with tariffs, which has an impact on us getting the goods, probably at an overinflated price. So supply chains are suffering. We also see changes in the workforce composition, specifically in what's called the old world. I'm German, you probably can hear it. In Germany, about 15% of the working population is going to retire. And when I say 15%, it's actually 20+% is going to retire, but there's not enough young people to replace those people. But I think for us in the Middle East here, that's a great opportunity, because the old world hasn't got the capacity to produce at the same scale as it did before. So we can scale up, right? We are becoming more competitive because we've got the right people. And we've heard this presentation on Oxagon today, right? So we are building this manufacturing capacity, which again represents us with a new challenge. And the new challenge is, how do we onboard these new people, right? How do we bring this tacit knowledge from the old world into the new world, when the people who have got this tacit knowledge in the old world are actually now retiring and living in Florida and Copacabana and drinking cocktails, right? So this knowledge transfer is something which is very challenging. Moving forward, it's not the manufacturing which causes us the problem. We've got external pressures. Things like Vision 2030. I arrived yesterday and I drove from the airport to the hotel, and it was like massive adverts for Vision 2030, right? Sustainability written now into the DNA of the region. We need to become more sustainable, but by becoming more sustainable, we also need to become more accountable. So it's not enough to say, I am sustainable. You need to show that you're sustainable, right? You need to prove it. So the governments and your consumers and the people you supply to, you need to show them that you're sustainable. You also need to have the ability to capture from your suppliers whether they're sustainable, etc. So it is, again, a challenge which has little to do with manufacturing, right? Yet it is something we have to deal with. And finally, what I've seen happening in Europe, in the US, and is now pushing into Japan. So I've got a lot of customers and prospects in Japan. I've been just 1 year in this region, right? So you need to help me there. Is servitization a thing in the Middle East? Who has to deal with this after-sales Not yet? Good. It will come. So we'll see in the old world, right, in the established manufacturing communities, servitization becoming more and more prolific. So customers are not buying your products, they're buying outcomes. I've got a customer in Germany, they produce forklifts. They used to sell forklifts. Now they're selling volume and tonnage, right? So they guarantee to their customers, to a port, that will provide you enough lifting capacity to service that many trucks. Whether it will be 2 trucks today and 25 tomorrow and 17 the day after, you don't need to care because you are a port operator. We are the forklift provider, right? So they move from providing a product to providing an outcome, which again completely shifts their financial models, their marketing models, their manufacturing processes, because they produce differently now, right? But also their after-service products. And these are the significant challenges I see across the world, and I think some of those will resonate with us here in the region as well. Now, AI is going to solve all these problems, right? Who here is using AI in any shape and form? The latest statistics, again, it's not IFS, right? It's not me, show that most of the AI tools used out there at the moment are ChatGPT type things. So when I engage with customers and prospects, I often get asked about Gen AI, right? In some AI use cases, I talk to them, they go, but that's not AI, it doesn't generate anything. More sophisticated people talk to me about like language models, large language models, or tools like Claude, which allows you to create software. I used AI in an industrial context, right? In hard industrial context, generative AI. This is AI, right? It is industrial, factory floor. I honestly don't believe that this type of AI use is going to improve our manufacturing processes. Right? Although it is Gen AI, and it is within a manufacturing context. Now, I don't want to downplay the significance of generative AI and of copilots, etc. I've seen examples where it is empowering people on the shop floor to solve problems, to solve issues like, take a picture of the machine and say, ChatGPT will actually do it, right? Why is this machine not performing as it should? Provide tools for self-help. My point here is we need, for AI to be successful in what we do, feeding the world, literally, we need to embed AI in our processes. Right? It cannot sit just on the side, an AI initiative. Have you got any AI initiatives running in the company right now? Anybody tries to establish, I've got a couple of customers trying to establish a center of excellence for AI. Anybody? Not yet? Good. I think what we need to do is to take AI and integrate it into our processes and link it to our strategic goals. right? Not use AI for AI's sake. I still think it's a very cute cat, right? But use AI to actually integrate it into our strategic initiatives. More automation in smart factories, better resilient supply chains, workforce evolution, support, and grab the opportunity, grab the bull by the horns, right? Expand our manufacturing capabilities in the region. Be more sustainable, and just develop new business models, right? Because we'll have to. If the old world is developing these business models, we'll have to catch up with those. Now, I'd like to spend probably a couple of minutes on talking about the next practice, what I've observed with some of my customers doing already to move them from today's best practice into tomorrow's best practice. And then I will show you a practical example of what it actually looks like, right? How do they actually do this? So if we look at smart factory evolution, we did speak about the IoT devices, etc. It is already there. Many of us do predictive maintenance, I hope, right, to reduce downtime and get some value. The next thing, which you will see will be happening, is the self-healing production. So not robotic automation anymore, but AI agents, which will shift production, shop floor orders from one production lane to another, optimize it if something goes wrong, right? So your production downtime will be further reduced. In the supply chain world, I've got customers who use supply chain and restocking agents, which automatically contact suppliers, assess the supplier orders, and issue POs based on the material required, right? It reduces the time to actually order something, therefore it levels out the stock. Knowledge systems have been there for about 30 years or so. I remember learning about knowledge systems in the university 30 years ago. But the next thing is, this will be one of my predictions, is the augmentation of human knowledge. And so I call it AI and AI, right? Actual intelligence and artificial intelligence. We need to start augmenting it. We do have life cycle assessments. I guess everybody who is anywhere near engineering and design, we do look at how did our old models perform in the field and how can we improve it. But with AI, we can actually start incorporating more of the circular design principles. So we will try to reduce waste and try to reduce material. We also create channels which allow us to take back the goods and recycle the materials. We see this happening more and more with, for example, batteries. And finally, service transformation. We do have outcomes-based contracts. We do have after-service contracts, right, where we provide service for our goods. Quite often, though, they are not profitable. Quite often, we run our service organizations as a cost center rather than a profit center. So with some AI clever automation, we can turn it around and run service organizations as profit centers where we make money with service rather than as cost center where we lose money by keeping a workforce which is servicing our tools. So I think this is where we're going to with the tools. And the customers who do this actually see significant improvements, right? So it's not something I just want to do, it's nice to do. The customers who have implemented these next steps have seen significant positive impact on their bottom line. And I'm very much human-centric person, right? The more money we make, the better our bottom line is. Yes, we get richer, but we also can provide better environments for our workers, right? We can provide better environments for our communities. It is a safer place for us to live. So by doing this, we're not only producing cheaper or more resilient, we're actually making people's lives better. Now, AI, there was a study published in August last year, so it's about 6 months old. And we've spoken to all our customers, and there's hundreds of those, who started adopting AI. In 2025, so within 8 months, 88% of the companies reported seeing an uplift in their bottom line profitability. They didn't do all the things, right? That's impossible. But whatever they did, they saw 88% of those companies saw an immediate uplift in the productivity. And what makes me personally very, very happy is that 70% were actually positively surprised because the uplifts they received were bigger than they expected. So what I want to say is, you will not need to question whether AI is going to help you. Right? You just need to ask yourself, how is it going to help me? And quite often I hear people saying like, I know AI is great, but my data is not right. Right? It needs clean data to actually produce something meaningful. I don't have the right skills. You need to train the model to actually produce meaningful results. I think, and I've seen this happening, is we don't need to focus on getting the data right anymore. We need to focus on getting the right data. Right? So find AI. We don't need to solve all the problems with AI. I was having a conversation outside just now. I'm diverging from my script. And said, if I've got a broken kneecap, AI is not going to help me, right? I need some medicine, some operations. So we don't have to solve all the problems with AI. We need to identify problems which help with our strategic initiatives and solve those. So it's not using AI for AI's sake. It's using AI for very specific problems. Now let me show you how this works in the real practice. Who is familiar with the term AI agents? I assume everybody else isn't, so allow me 1 minute to explain what an AI agent is. In very, very simple terms, it's a computer program. And the way you write this computer program is you actually talk to it, natural language. So you can, for example, say, hey, I want you to have access, and that's what we call tools, to have access to my calendar, my emails, and our SharePoint organizational structure. I want you to check all my new emails and meeting requests, and if this is a meeting request from somebody who is my direct report, or my manager, accept it immediately. If I don't have space in my calendar, propose a new meeting. If the email or meeting request is from somebody else, like this marketing guy from IFS, right? Just don't do anything, I'll deal with it. Keeping the human in the loop, right? And the beauty of it is, it will actually do it for you, right? It's very simple, you don't need to be a programmer to do this. Difference from AI agent and traditional robotic process automation, it was called, right? The AI agent will actually learn. So eventually, I've got a friend, Federico Sensi, he's exactly my same level as me, right? We're not in the same org structure. Any meeting he sends me, because he's my beloved friend, I will accept. So the AI agent, contrary to the program, will actually say, Max, do you know what? You always accept meetings from Fede. I'll just accept them for you, right? So it will learn from my behavior as well. That's a very simple example. What we've got here is an AI agent which actually does work. It is in production for some IFS customers now, and it deals with one of the trickiest parts of the operations to manage. We all know carrying too much inventory is very expensive. That's capital just sitting there on a shelf. Carrying too little is very expensive because it might actually interrupt your production flow, like ever given, right? 6 days, no supplies whatsoever. So dealing with this, anticipating whether you need stock, understanding that the stock levels will fall in the next couple of days because there's a big order which comes in, is something humans do quite well, but it's also the agent what they can do, right? So an agent is always some skills, some tasks which it can carry out, and the instructions of what it is allowed and is not allowed to do. What this results in is, what we've seen in the customers, is the reducing stockouts by about 15 to 20%. Reduce stockouts basically means your manufacturing runs smoother. It's very nice. And it's just one agent, and there's practically, there are quite a few agents which are available just out of the box. They're there. They're beautiful in the sense of they can connect to, they use different tools, right? Like in my example where I said, connect to my calendar and connect to SharePoint to assess the organization structure. They can connect to your ERP system and to your Salesforce system and your CRM somewhere else and your HR somewhere else, because everybody now has got APIs, right? And they can actually gather the information for decision making, and they drive your processes. So you can get things like a customer order comes in, the AI agent can spot it and understand it. It will then generate a shop floor order, production order. But if we know that the production will go, there's a scheduler engine somewhere, I think, the scheduler. There's a dispatch agent, and there's also a scheduler agent, which is not on the slide, right? The scheduler will schedule the production for 2 days after, which means in next week, I need my inventory replenisher to actually go and order some inventory for me. One very, very important thing I'd like to highlight with agents built inside your applications, not on the side, is this. Secure, governed, and auditable. It is beautiful to have, a colleague who does the work for you, right? Does the legwork for you, checks all the work orders and calculates how many items do I need to order. But if you don't understand the decision process of the agent, if you do not understand what it has done, if you don't know that it has done something, let anything go wrong, right? The responsibility will still be yours and yours and yours personally, right? Saying, AI told me to do so is not a good excuse. So when we put AI in, it needs to be understandable and auditable. Because end of the day, right, it's our head on the block. Now, I'm a gambling man. Not really, but I like to make bets. So what I'd like to do is, for all of us here, meet here again next year and see if my predictions for 2026 will come true. Right? So that's my predictions for 2026 before we go and have some lunch. Is first thing, I like to bet that AI will disappear as a distinct category. What do I mean by this? Is the following. Who works for a commercial company here? Whose company has got a website? You don't have a website? Yeah, you do have a website, right? We don't, but how often do you speak about the fact that you have a website? You don't, right? You just have one. It's there. It's ubiquitous. And I guess AI will become ubiquitous. We will all be using AI without thinking that we're using AI. One of my customers said, AI is successful when we stop talking about it. My bet is that 2026 is the year where we stop talking about AI explicitly. That's my first bet. My second bet is we will see agentic AI, like one of the agents I've just shown you, become more and more prolific in manufacturing and in real life. Right? We'll have more and more AI agents doing stuff for us, be it on the factory floor or be it in our personal lives. Right? This will be deployed at scale and will produce significant challenges in governance, security, and interoperability. Right? When your personal car insurance claim is refused by an AI agent, that's a personal issue. Right? If, God help us, something goes wrong and we have an accident on the road because of an AI decision, right? Or an airplane comes down, or a ship arrives late, this will create a whole new world of problems and questions we'll have. And I bet with you that next year we'll see more and more AI automation where we will not actually feel it. And finally, I guess AI will become AI. So actual intelligence and artificial intelligence will merge, which will then create a very new challenge for us to deal with. Right? We'll have new jobs, so people like, we'll have people training the AI agents. We'll have definitely the greater need for people to understand how AI agents and AI in general makes the decision and govern it and make it ethical. And we'll need to embed the AI agents in our processes. So things like, in my example again, who deals with the fact that I've got a meeting request from somebody who is neither my direct report nor my boss? Right? I still need a human being to then go and decide. But the process now changed because 90% of my meetings are accepted automatically. Right? So we need to revamp this processes. And my bet here, the key point of my bet is, we'll have to invest much more in human training than LLM training. The LLMs and the AI stuff is all good. We now need to invest into training our people to actually deal with these models. Overall, I think I'm very, very excited about what is going to happen next year. And I'd love to see you next year here again and see whether I was right or wrong. My personal preferred use of AI, as you can guess. If you do have time and interest, we are just outside at booth P3. Come and talk to us. I'll be very, very happy to talk about additional AI use cases, etc. And on this note, shukran and salam alaikum.